our job. You know, today we're going to change the seder, the schedule of the class. We usually do every single week a mitzvah, a tefillah. We are right now before Shacharit. But we're exactly 2 weeks before Rosh Hashanah, and I see it as a shame to not speak about Rosh Hashanah, and especially in preparation for Rosh Hashanah. So we know about that Rosh Hashanah is one of the most, if not the most important day that exists in the entire year. Rosh Hashanah, Rabotai, is a window. It is an opportunity. If we look at Rosh Hashanah, we know that all what happens in an entire year is decided and is written from when? From Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. That actually in one day, anything good or bad that will be written for us will all be written in one day. That right now, in these few days that we are leading up to, it is all preparation for us to stand in Rosh Hashanah and be our best versions of ourselves. That the cleaner we are, the more prepared we are, the more we will be written to have a good year to come. Where actually Rosh Hashanah is a time of opportunity where we could grab berachot, where we could grab big merit. If we look at Botai at the past, we'll see that on every single Rosh Hashanah, the impossible things that were seemed impossible came to a reality. And this is where we can ask a question and we'll answer it. If we look at Rosh Hashanah, we see in the reading, what do we read? We read about Yitzchak, where we say, V'Hashem pakel et Sarah. That is the reading of the Torah of Rosh Hashanah. So you could ask, you could say, Rosh Hashanah, it's not better to speak about judgment, about preparation, about teshuvah. Why about V'Hashem pakel et Sarah, that Hashem blessed Sarah, that she was able to have kids? The Zohar Kadosh says that actually, we read that parasha on that day for a very, very important reason. It is to teach us, it is to remind us that the person on Rosh Hashanah could change the reality of the way his life looks. We know Abotai that Sarah, how old was she when she had Yitzchak? How old? 37. She was almost 100. That Sarah was considered to be an older woman. Where in the normal world, to have a kid in that age is impossible. The Zohar Kadosh says that when was it decided? When did she fall pregnant? The night of Rosh Hashanah. That actually Rosh Hashanah is the beginning, the opening for opportunity. The Zohar says like a window. This is something about that we explained in the past. You know, we could have about a very big window. But this big window could be facing right where the sun starts to rise. And when the morning comes, when the night ends, and the sun starts to shine upon our house, and we have this big window with curtains, that the curtains are closed, the light exists. But can you taste from the light? No. Why? Because you have curtains that are blocking the window. But Rosh Hashanah is a window with curtains. Once you open the window, you can taste from the light. But until you don't grab the opportunity, you cannot taste from the light. To go back to what we were saying, we said Yitzchak. That Yitzchak was born when? From the decision that was done on Rosh Hashanah. Take the word Yitzchak, flip it backwards. What comes out? Ketz Chai. What does Ketz Chai mean? The beginning of life. It's the end of where it was until now, and the beginning of Chai. That actually the Jewish nation, where all our roots are Rosh Hashanah. That everything is based on Rosh Hashanah. That the beginning of when Yitzchak, which we know Yitzchak brought Yaakov, which Yaakov is Israel, it all started on Rosh Hashanah. Rabotai, Rosh Hashanah is when we can get up and change the way our life looks. This is a Zohar class. We know Rabotai that even the mother of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, what was her name? Sarah as well. It said Rabotai in the Midrash that Sarah for 10 years was married to Yochai, the father of Rabbi Shimon, and they were not able to have kids. To make the story short, she cried for three months before because Yochai wanted to divorce her because 10 years, no kids. And on the day of Rosh Hashanah, he had the dream. That dream was actually the sign that Rabbi Akiva told him that he's going to have kids, Be'ezrat Hashem, in the year to come. That even Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was the result of what? It was the result of a good Rosh Hashanah. It was the result of a Rosh Hashanah where one did preparation and stood in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the holy day and he brought down big barachot. Abotai, we should not lose this opportunity. It is an opportunity that comes once in a year. It is the opportunity where everything good will happen in the entire year. Will all be dependent on this. Abotai, throughout the year, we sit down and we pray for things that are occurring in our life. We have maybe something in work is about to close. We say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please let this close. If we let this close, I promise I will give my say, I will do this, I will do that. But actually we base ourselves throughout the entire year praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to get this, and I need this, I need this. But Abotai, all of that will be written in one day. So instead of dragging it throughout the entire year, make Rosh Hashanah worth it. And if you make it worth it, you will have a year full of berachot, with no need to pray for HaKadosh Baruch Hu for more. Of course, praying for HaKadosh Baruch Hu is our connection with Him. But you won't have the need to run and to beg and to have that feeling of loss. Because Abotai, on Rosh Hashanah, we could change everything. So Abotai, like we said, Rosh Hashanah, it's what? An opportunity. But its core is not a day of an opportunity. It is actually a day of what? No, Abotai, everyone's sleeping today. We didn't do 3 weeks shiur, everyone's sleeping. No, judgment. But actually Rosh Hashanah is a day of pure judgment. With judgment comes opportunity. But the day itself is a day of judgment. Zohar Kabbalah says, just to show us what a fear the world has when they prepare themselves for Rosh Hashanah. The Zohar, the Midrash, the Gemara, they say that even the fish in the sea leading up to Rosh Hashanah shake and tremble from fear from the holy day of the judgment. That even the fish, they have the feeling of judgment coming and they fear that day. That it is a day to fear. We know Abotai, we see the day of judgment as a day that applies only to us. But Rosh Hashanah is a day of judgment for us, Bnei Adam, but also for the angels, where even the Malachim receive judgment. Now the whole argument, could angels do bad, could angels not do good? We proved that in other classes. The angels get judged, people get judged, Neshamot get judged. That even our own Neshamot that passed away, Neshamot that finished their tikkun, they get rejudged. Shedim Goj, everything gets judged. That there is not a single living creation that stands up and does not go through this process of being judged. Who won't fear such a day of judgment? Who won't fear a day where the Zohar Kadosh says that angels, that when they're standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu on this day, they shake and they're not able to see the presence of Hashem on the day of the judgment. So us, it's something that it is natural, it is obvious to find fear in our hearts. You know, but there's something, whoever is involved in a shul, see something amazing. You always find in every kehillah, in most cases it's the majority of the kehillah, maybe 3 or 4 times the amount of regular people that pray. But throughout the entire year, they're what we call lost children. But throughout the entire year, you'll never see them. You'll see them if Chas v'Shalom, someone passed away, or you'll see them if they get married, if they invite you. That mamash, throughout the entire year, they are lost in their world, they are lost in whatever they do. And we have to pray for them. But somehow, Rosh Hashanah comes, and even the biggest Rasha'im, you see them wearing all white, looking like angels, coming to the Echal, buying the Nidarim, complete tzaddikim. Why is that? Why is it that at all the Chagim, we don't see their faces, but specifically Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, suddenly even the Rasha'im, they run and they shake? What is this concept of what pulls them? What pulls even those who are most far, close to the shul, close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So now, Botai, the Zohar brings a beautiful teaching about this. That we can mamash have a more strong understanding of the reasoning behind this. The Zohar Kodesh says that everything in this world is built from two things. It's built from ira, mazi ira, fear, pachad, and love. That the world is led from two different actions, from two different thoughts, from two different feelings. That even HaKadosh Baruch Hu is based on those two different feelings. They could translate in different ways. So for example, love is kindness. Fear is judgment. But for the most part, the core is love and fear. Where the Zohar Kadosh says everything in between is the result of different mixtures of love and fear put together. That is the core of our world. The Zohar says, if we look at our Torah, we'll see that our Torah is based also on love and on fear. Where do we see that? So we know there are two types of mitzvot. Mitzvot aseh and mitzvot lo ta'aseh. What does that mean? Mitzvot of aseh, of do, and mitzvot of don't do. So for example, put tefillin every day is what? Is aseh. You have to wake up in the morning, you have to put tefillin. Keeping Shabbat, there's some aseh and some not aseh. Another example of mitzvot aseh, tzedakah. You get up and you do the mitzvah. So that mitzvah should be done with what? With pure love. That what represents a mitzvah that is done with love. That you love HaKadosh Baruch Hu so much that you get up and you make an action in order to make Hashem happy. That is one. The second mitzvah is what? Mitzvot lo ta'aseh, don't do. So what is that? Don't eat, not kasher. Don't do chilul Shabbat. Don't chas v'shalom steal. Don't chas v'shalom murder. That what should cause you to not do those mitzvot, meaning to keep those mitzvot? Fear. Love and fear. Two different forces that balance the Torah, that balance the world, that balance everything. The Zohar says, the main problem with us, Bnei Adam, is that we are in the darkness. That the core of our problem starts where we're not able to see and we're not able to know truly what we're supposed to fear and why we're supposed to fear it and what we're supposed to love and why we're supposed to love it. Because the reality is, fear of sin comes from faith and love Hashem comes from faith too. But it's not from our eyes that see. Zohar says, we can give an analogy on what it's like to live today, who we are in this world. Zohar says it's like a man that is inside a house. It is midnight, the darkest point of the night. That this man is sitting in this house and there is not even a drop of light, not even the light that comes from the moon, nothing. Pure darkness in the house, pure darkness outside. And this man is sitting down in a chair and he's keeping his eyes closed. That is like how we are today in this world. That if that man were to try to walk with his eyes closed and in pure darkness, what would happen to him? He would not see what's in his house. He could have dangerous things in the house, won't be afraid to touch it. He could have very valuable things in the house, and he won't have the knowledge to want it because he's blind. He's in the darkness. His eyes are closed and he's surrounded. His eyes are closed and he's surrounded by darkness. That even if you give this man a light, even if this man opens up his eyes, will he be able to see? No. Why? Because he's in the depth of the darkness. But the Zohar Kadosh says, what happens if I come to this man, and even if his eyes are closed, and I give him a candle? When he holds the candle, even though his eyes are closed, he'll be able to feel through his closed eyes that what? That there is some light behind his closed eyes. And it's all a matter of how much he opens up his eyes. According to how much he opens up his eyes, that's how much he will see. if he wants to keep his eyes closed, he'll feel the light, but not enjoy from the light, and not enjoy from the house that he's in. And the more he opens his eyes, the more he'll be able to take in from the light and see the house that he's in. That is how we are in this world. We are in a dark world. We are blind, like when it says in the Zohar. How many names does Yetzer Hara have? 7. One of the 7 names is what? Khamsan. What does Khamsan mean? Khamsan comes from the word Khamsa. Like when you go to the Tweed, Khamsa. So what does Khamsa mean in Arabic? It means 5. So why is one of the names of Yetzer Hara 5? So Zohar says, because what does Yetzer Hara do? He comes to a person, takes a full picture, covers 4 pieces out of 5, and leaves only a 5th. But now suddenly when you see this piece, can you tell the full page? Can you tell the full picture? No, because he covered most of it, more than most of it. So that, Rabotai, is how we are in this world. We are in the dark house, which is black, and our eyes are closed. So what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do to us? 5 cents. Yafeh, yafeh, kol hakavod, kol hakavod. So what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do to us? For a man that is in a dark house with eyes closed, he gave man a candle. And that what is this candle? This candle is the Chagim. That even if a man is with his eyes closed and he doesn't want to find Hashem and he's not searching for Hashem and he's doing his own thing in his life, but still he's able to feel the light when Hashem gives him the candle. And as much as he opens up his eyes, he'll be able to see the world and to see the secrets of the Torah and to be able to see the beauty of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the problem starts when he doesn't want to open his eyes. But that's not the point of what we're speaking about. That, Abotai, is what happens on the Chagim, and especially on Rosh Hashanah. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a candle, He pours down to the world a koach, a power of that holiday. So on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, what does He bring down to the world? He brings down to the world that light of fear and that light of teshuvah. That even those who are far with their eyes closed and they're stubborn and they don't want to open their eyes, they feel that the light is just, it's right there. And that's why you see that you have so many people at Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, people that you don't see throughout the entire year. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they become tzaddikim. That even themselves, they're keeping their eyes closed, but they feel the light. So when you feel the light, you start to walk closer. Now, Botai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us these times of light, not to give us light for a minute to take it away. He gave us light in order for us to be able to see the house. And once we see the house, even when it becomes dark, we know how the house looks. We have a knowledge that actually the Chagim are given to us to somewhat educate us, to prepare us throughout the entire year. That the more we embrace the Chag, the more we absorb the Chag, the more we'll be able to drag the effect of the holiday throughout the entire year. The Zohar says, like we said, Rosh Hashanah, He brings down fear and teshuvah. Shabbat, He brings down what? Pleasure. Where on the day of Shabbat, there is a feeling of pleasure that comes out to the world. And what's amazing that even Mota Olam, even the non-Jewish people, they choose Shabbat to be what? A day of vacation, a day where people go and they take pleasure. That even they don't know that the feeling, the light of pleasure comes down to the world. It could be spiritual pleasure, or it could be physical pleasure. Pleasure comes down to the world. On other Chagim, like Sukkot, like Pesach, what does He bring down to the world? He brings down Simcha. That the Simcha is a happiness that all of us as Jews, V'samachta v'chagecha v'haitach samach. That on holidays He brings down the energy of Simcha. That naturally that energy exists in the world and it is available for the entire world. And that's why we say, Rabotai, that in Rosh Hashanah, far or close, we all have fear from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we all want teshuvah. We all come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We want to be able to be a part of a good year, to be a part of a good judgment. And that, Rabotai, is the core of the preparation to what we're preparing, teshuvah. The teshuvah, Rabotai, is the most important thing that we need to do in this period of time. Now, Rabotai, on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the 2 holidays, that we have a very special tool that we use. What is that very special tool? Shofar. what is this shofar? So Rambam brings two explanations, because now I know that in the end of the shiur, we're going to say, no, you said this about this, and I said this. So the Rambam brings two explanations. Rambam says, there is the secret, the sod, what the Zohar Kadosh says, and what the Arizal, all the Mekubalim say, that we're going to speak about in a minute. But then there is the pshat, the simplicity. But what is the simple reaction of the shofar? The shofar, Rabotai, is a wake-up. The shofar, Rabotai, is a noise that is so deep that it goes into our core of our neshama in order to wake us up. Where the Zohar Kadosh says, Kumu, kumu banim. Wake up, my children. Come close to your Father that is in the sky. Where the shofar, Rabotai, is like the alarm clock for us to prepare ourselves, to wake us up, that Yom Adin is coming and we need to do teshuvah. And that, Rabotai, is what we need to focus on. Repent, teshuvah. That now it is the time of teshuvah. We need to look, Rabotai, in our lives, big averot, bad things that we did, not such bad things. Anything that we can take and better ourselves is only contribution to bringing down a big year. That we need, Rabotai, in this period of time, to look at our lives and to see how one could make himself the best version of himself in preparation for Rosh Hashanah. Now, Rabotai, many people, when you speak to them about this, Rosh Hashanah, Teshuvah, you have some people, they say, me, or even they say this in their head, I don't have really big sins that I have to teshuvah for. Me, I'm a good person, sometimes here and there, but they're not really important. Me, for the most part, I'm fine. So I don't have a lot of work that I need to do. Maybe the small sins, but they don't count. Other people I see, they're with goyo, they're with this, they do this. That's big sins. He needs to do teshuvah. But me, I'm fine. Now, Rabotai, there's a beautiful story. Truly, it's a story, Rabotai, that gives us the understanding. Small sin, big sin, tzaddik, not tzaddik, rasha, rich, poor, I don't know, everything. We all need to come to do teshuvah. It's a Rabotai about a man. He committed a bad sin. A sin that even Rashaim understand and feel the severity and the danger of that sin. So he took upon himself that he wants to get up and he wants to teshuvah. So he said, the only way I can go and truly get a good answer of what I'm supposed to do is I'm going to go to a big tzaddik. And I'm going to tell the big tzaddik, give me a tikkun, a reparation for this big sin that I did. So he said, but to go to the tzaddik alone, I'm afraid. I'm going to take a friend with me. So it said that he went to one of his close friends, and he told one of his close friends. It's a true story that is brought in Sipurei Chassidim. I'm going to take a close friend of mine to come with me, one that I trust, we can both go together. Like that, I won't go alone. He took a good friend. He said, maybe if you have something to repair too, you come, tell the Rav what you did, and he'll give you also a reparation. So his friend said, no, you're a Rasha, you need to do teshuvah, but me, I'm clean. I have no it's like Rabbi Aharon and the other Rabbi Aharon. Me, I'm clean. I have no teshuvah that I need to do. So he said, okay, you're tzaddik, we go together. They go to the Rav, the man that sinned. He said, Rav, Chila, I did a bad sin, and I have shame to even tell you the sin that I did. But I have to tell you because I need to get this off my back, I need to do teshuvah. So he told him the sin. The Rav looked at this man. He said, okay, how about your friend? What sin did he do that he came to do teshuvah? So the friend looked at him and said, Rav, I have no need for teshuvah. I do small averot here and there, but for the most part, I am tzaddik. I'm a tzaddik. I have no avera that I did that I need to repair. I'm clean. I did a lot of small ones, but they don't matter. So the Rav said, Beseder, you did a lot of small ones, you did a big avera. Both of you need to repair your sin. So the Rav said, you, the one that did the big avera, I want you to go to my garden. I want you to look for the biggest rock you can find. Pick up the biggest, heaviest rock you can find and bring it to me. And you, the one that's a tzaddik that did only small averot, that justifies them, go to my garden, take this bag, and fill it up with as many small pebbles you can find. So he said, okay. They both went. The one that said the small rock, this is easy. He went, he picked up like this, 5 minutes, filled up the bag. The one misken of the big rock, 1 hour he's pushing the rock, he gets the rock to the office of the Rav. So they sit down, and the one with the little bag, he's sitting down, Baruch Hashem, he's clean, he's calm, and the other one is sweating his skin, he's dirty. So they said, Ine. They looked at the Rav, they said, no Rav, is this a tikkun? The Rav said, not yet, not finished. Now that the rocks are here in my office, both of you need to take the rocks and return them back to the exact same place where you found them. So the man with the big rock, he went, pushed the rock, found the place, put it back and where the hole fits, and that's it. 2-3 hours later, the man with the bag returns to the Rav and says, Rav, it's impossible. I have 200 rocks. I took them from 200 different places. There is no way I'll be able to put them back to the place where I took them from. So the Rav looked at him. He said, Ine, look. The one with the big sin, he did one big sin that he can recognize, that he can repair. But the ones that do a lot of the small ones, they say, no, I don't have a lot of work to do. It's us that we have the hard work, the small sins that we need to repair. So Abotai, today, we all need to get up and we all need to do teshuvah. It is the time of teshuvah. Rosh Hashanah, Abotai, was embedded with the concept of teshuvah and started with the concept of teshuvah. It said, Abotai, in the Zohar Kadosh, in Parashat Emor, in page Kuf Aleph, where there the Zohar explains where Rosh Hashanah even started from the first place. So we know, Abotai, what it said, that when was Adam HaRishon, when is his birthday? When is Adam HaRishon, the first man's birthday? Rosh Hashanah. That he was born on the day of Rosh Hashanah. The Zohar says, Adam was born in that day, sinned in that day, and in that day he went to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and begged HaKadosh Baruch Hu for forgiveness. And on that day HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave him for his sin, put aside the damage that was done. But for the sin of Adam, he forgave him for the sin. The Zohar Kadosh says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to Adam HaRishon after the sins that he did and after he asked for forgiveness. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, today Rosh Hashanah will be a day for generations to come until I will repair my world, where he gave Adam HaRishon a time limit of 6,000 years until the world will return back to its original form, where he said that today will be a day of not just judgment, because today I judged you, but a day of what? A day of kindness, a day of forgiving. That actually on the day of Rosh Hashanah, we have two aspects, where Adam HaRishon brought damage, and that damage caused us every single year to do Rosh Hashanah, but in that same very way, every single year, because of Adam HaRishon, his teshuvah that he made, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave him for that sin that he did, that concept, that power of teshuvah is embedded in every single year on the day of Rosh Hashanah. That today, Abotai, it is today. Rosh Hashanah, it is a day of teshuvah that we need to get up and we need to awaken ourselves to come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know, Abotai, there's something that for many years I wanted to do. This year I'm going to do it in a light way. Because I see, you know, Abotai, when we speak about Rosh Hashanah, when we speak about judgment, it's not very clear on what really is happening on Rosh Hashanah. We say Hashem judges us. But what is really happening up there that the judgment comes to a reality? That I believe that the more we understand truly the core of what's happening, we'll understand that it's not a joke, and we need really to be ready in front of this day. The Zohar Kadosh in Parashat Emor again, but this time on a different page, on page Kuf Chet, Amud Bet. There the Zohar Kadosh opens up with what? Tachazi. What does Tachazi mean? Come and see. Gemara says come in here, the Zohar says come and see. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was sitting down with his students. And one of them asked, regarding the pasuk, which we read in the Torah, where it said, Tik'u b'chodesh shofar b'kaseh lechagenu. What does that mean? The Torah says, on the month of the shofar, blow the shofar on the days before they are covered. On the holiday that is approached with a covering. Rabbi Shimon asked in the Zohar Kadosh, what is this word covering? Bekatzeh. That it says that it's the Chag that we do, Rosh Hashanah, is followed by what? By a covering. And here the Zohar Kadosh says, Tachazit invites us again and wants to explain us what is this concept of a covering that is done on Rosh Hashanah. The Zohar Kadosh says, Rabotai, listen to this very carefully because it's a shaky, it said, Rabotai, that every single Rosh Hashanah, the angel Samael wakes up and he takes upon himself the opportunity and he grabs the opportunity of the day of judgment. Where the Zohar Kadosh said that Samael himself goes and he takes a cover of Sitra Cha'a, and he blocks, and this is the word that the Zohar first introduces and explains, and he blocks the Levana. He blocks the moon. That he covers the moon with this dark layer. What is this moon dark layer? So we know about that as Jews, we go according to what? To the moon. Why according to the moon? Because the Zohar Kadosh says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu leads us with a Shekhinah that is called Levana. That there is a Shekhinah, that its name is Moon. That this Shekhinah is the way how HaKadosh Baruch Hu protect his kids, where we say the protection of Jews, it comes from that. That protection, that leadership that us Jews we have, where we feel so special, it comes from that leadership of the Levana. The Sitra Cha'a goes, and he takes his cloth, and he covers it. And he blocks the light, and he blocks the protection of us Jews that we receive from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Zohar Kadosh says, Rabotai, that he goes to every single pipe where Hashem sends Rachamim, he sends kindness to Bnei Israel. That there are pipes, there are vessels that are used solely for kindness for us, his children. And what does he do? He blocks them. That he goes on a mission, blocking every single source of kindness that us, Bnei Israel, the children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, receive. That actually it is a day where he makes sure that the only power that is led in that day is what? Pure judgment, darkness. Once everything is blocked, and everything is locked, and everything is dark, the Zohar Kadosh says he runs to the throne of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he enters into the gates of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's, we can call it palace. Like we know about the Zohar when he uses words, it's just in order for us to understand an idea. And he walks into the palace, and the Zohar says he locks the gates of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And once the gates are locked, he goes to Hashem and he tells Hashem, Ine, you're not leaving from here. Rabotai, listen to this. You're not leaving from here until we judge the entire world. And he sits down with Hashem and he forces Hashem to put judgment upon the world. That no kindness could be sent down to the world. And Hashem sits down and needs to judge every single living thing that exists. So now the obvious thing that we're all asking, how can you do that? How can Yetzer Hara come, block the kindness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and also lock the gates and close on Hashem that we need to judge everyone, nothing's changing unless we judge everyone? How can we say that the Yetzer Hara does that without the permission of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So the Zohar answers Rabotai that actually, Sitra Cha'a, Samael himself, he's doing that with what? With the permission of Hashem. That the Zohar even goes as far as says that that is the job of Yetzer Hara. That Yetzer Hara has 5 different responsibilities. First responsibility, he sues people for their sins. What does that mean? So we know in court there is the man that is, how do we call it? A prosecutor. He's a prosecutor. Oh, I assume that we have a lawyer here. He's the prosecutor. Where he goes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he says, this man sinned for this, and this man sinned for this. And he prosecutes and wants a person to get the worst punishment possible. That's one position that he has. The second position that he has, that after he prosecutes for the sin, he starts to argue for the worst sin possible, the worst punishment possible. Where he says, Hashem, he did this, don't give him this punishment, give him this punishment, even a worse one. That he pushes HaKadosh Baruch Hu to punish us with the worst punishments. The third position, where he actually is the one who brings a person to the place where he needs to get punished. So we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not just going to punish us in one shot. Each person gets punished in a different place and different whereabouts. Yetzer Hara takes him to that place. That's the third job that he has. In this world, next one, everything. The fourth one is that that Yetzer Hara actually takes out the punishments to action. And this is punishment on living. Meaning now, a man he stole, and he's now have to receive a 60 pulsa denua, 60 hits. Who's the one that actually gives the hits? Yetzer Hara. In the fifth position is what? Taking the neshamot of people. That he is actually the prosecutor, the policeman, the judge, not the judge, not actually the judge, but he's everything put together. With the Zohar Kadosh says that is actually his responsibility to do that. The Zohar says, but what if you can come and you can ask and you can say, but why is that? Why is Yetzer Hara have all this power, all this control? So the Zohar says something simple. If a person has a problem with the way this runs, look to your world and see that in your world it is done in the exact same fashion. That actually, the bet din, the judgment system, how do we call it, the court system that exists in today's world is just the copy of influence from what exists already up there. That whatever is done up there is what comes down here. That we actually copy what HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in the time of the creation of the world. And if we think about it like that, you can see that in court, a policeman can grab a man that sinned, take him into a courtroom, and announce in front of the court and in front of the judge, this man did this and this sin. I'm ordering you to judge him. And the judge can't do anything about it. That it even said more, that it's custom that the policeman, what does he do? He's the one who closes the doors of the court. That it's the same policeman that is bringing a man to get him judged, that closes the gates, and he's the one that forces upon the judge to judge that man. That Yetzer Hara is called Ashoter HaMekatreg. That is his name. The Zohar sometimes it will refer to as Ashoter HaMekatreg. The policeman that wants to prosecute, wants to punish. That if we look at it like that, it's not that hard to understand. The Zohar Kadosh says that how does a judgment come to a reality? What happens in that bet din? So Zohar Kadosh says that Yetzer Hara brings every single one of us to this court. That each and every one of us, our neshamot, in less than 10 days, will stand in that court and our name will be the name that is on the table that is being judged. And Yetzer Hara gets up and he announces all the sins of the man that now they are judging. So they say now, Ploni, Shimon did this and this and this sin. And Yetzer Hara says, I want you to punish him with this and this and this punishment. The Zohar says that whenever HaKadosh Baruch Hu uses the punishment, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, do you have witnesses? So Yetzer Hara says, I have witnesses. And Yetzer Hara goes and he calls angels, which they are called Enei Hashem. This is the name of these angels. That these Enei Hashem are called what? What do they do? They are angels. Exactly, but even their name, what is their name? The eyes of Hashem. Where these angels, HaKadosh Baruch Hu send them down to the world and they float in the world just at all times looking at the world. That they are actually the edim, the witnesses that Yetzer Hara brings up to witness upon our sins. Hashem brings these witnesses and they sit down and HaKadosh Baruch Hu asks them to witness on the sin of this man. And the witnesses, they come and they announce whatever they saw on the reality that they saw. The Zohar said that for meanwhile, while this is happening, what happens? A paper is being written. Where for each man, there are two angels that sit down on a table next to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They have a petek in front of them. And they are writing down all what the witnesses are writing, are speaking. And it said that this paper is not a regular paper. The Zohar says that there is an echal. Echal is like a gate. that in this gate there is a fire, that this fire is white, clean, white. And this fire turns in circles. And the Zohar says that from this fire, there are sparks that fly to all the worlds and they feed all the worlds. Inside that gate, there is another gate which has the same type of fire that never turns off in eternity. But it's not white. What is it? It's black. That fire is a black fire that the same way. It turns around in circles and it is inside the gate where the white fire is. Those two angels, they go and they take the white fire and they unroll that so-called roll that the Zohar Kadosh brings. Where out of that fire, what gets created? A form of like a piece of paper. That with that white form of piece of paper, which is kindness, what gets written? It gets written with the black fire, which is like the ink. And all the angels, those two angels, they sit down and all the witnessing that is being made is written on that piece of paper. When that piece of paper is done, HaKadosh Baruch Hu holds it in his hand. And at that moment, there is a man's sins, his punishment, his fate. He will live, he will die, he will be rich, he will be poor. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though his judgment in that day, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu leads the world in judgment on that day, he holds a piece of paper and he says, I give a chance to my kids to do teshuvah. Where I'm not doing anything with this paper until after Yom Kippur. That this piece of paper is being kept by me. Where he gives a chance for us, Bnei Israel, to get up and to do teshuvah, to repent. That once the teshuvah is done, that teshuvah comes to that piece of paper, and the Zohar Kadosh says, separates the judgment and the kindness, the black fire and the white fire, and what is left after one does teshuvah, a clean plate, a clean slate, where there will be no judgment that falls upon a person. That Abotai is if a person does what? Does teshuvah. If he gets up and he repents. But what happens to people that don't do teshuvah? So Zohar Kadosh says that Kadosh Baruch Hu gives one more chance. Where he finds an opening of one more place where a person can get up and to do teshuvah and to change his year. Where he gets up in front of all the shamayim, in front of all the four worlds, and he screams and announces, who will be willing to try to justify this man? Who will be willing to try to make this man be considered zakai? Zakai. Opposite of guilty, innocent. Who would be willing to prove this man innocent? If there is a man who proves him innocent, HaKadosh Baruch Hu separates the black fire and the white fire. But if there is no man that gets up and proves him innocent, what happens to that piece of paper? It gets passed on to the hands of Samael. Samael takes this piece of paper and he brings it into action. And that Abotai is actually what happens on Rosh Hashanah every single year. That a complete judgment is being made with witnesses, with prosecutors, with ones who are fighting against everything. And all of that Abotai happens in one day. But now Abotai, it is our opportunity that when we get to that day, we will arrive clean. We will arrive pure. We won't have Chas v'Shalom this thought in our head that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can write us for wrong. And that Abotai is the importance of getting up now and doing teshuvah while we still have the opportunity. Because the moment Yom Kippur is over, whatever is written is written. If you're written to have a bad year, wait till next Rosh Hashanah. If you're written to live that year, Baruch Hashem. It's even said that every year that the man lives, it's like he came back to life. That every year that a man passes, the fact that he's judged for life, it is as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought him back to life. Where do we learn that from? So everyone's going to think, it's going to pull now a Zohar. No, Shulchan Aruch. Where Shulchan Aruch says what? A man that you didn't see for 12 months, what bracha do you do on him? Baruch mechayem mitim. The blessing of bringing back the dead. Why? Because he was judged for life. So Abotai, we need to all be judged for life. We need to get up, to do teshuvah, to recognize our wrongdoings, and to have regret and to repair them. That once a person repairs his sins that he did, if it comes from love, his sins will turn to what? Into merit. And that, Rabotai, is what we need to work on. We need to work on our hearts, we need to work on doing cheshbon nefesh, on sitting down with ourselves, on doing a calculation on how we act throughout the entire year, how to repair, how to fix, and how to, Be'ezat Hashem, bring down big beracha. So, Rabotai, I advise everyone, Be'ezat Hashem, to take upon himself, even until after Yom Kippur, take upon himself every single day, at least until after Yom Kippur. Rabotai, whoever's going to ask afterwards a question, I'll answer. At least until after Yom Kippur, every single day, to try to take one bad thing that he sees in himself and to repair it at least until after Yom Kippur. That at least until after Yom Kippur, you show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you have the will to do teshuvah and you want to repair yourself. If we do that, Rabotai, we'll have a big bracha and tzlacha. So in the merit, Be'ezat Hashem, of the Zohar Kadosh, in the merit of Rabbi Pinto, and in the merit of my grandfather, Rabbi Moshe Pinto, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Be'ezat Hashem, give everyone a gmar chatima tova, a big bracha v'atzlacha. May this year, Rabotai, big amen. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will open up the gates of Parasha, the gates of Yeshua, the gates of Refuah, the gates of Zivu, the gates of Parasha. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Be'ezat Hashem, fulfill all our hearts' wishes. Amen. No, Rabotai, is any questions? No, Rabbi Ariel, I sense a big question for you.
You said that there's a man who can come and testify in the last stage. When you say a man, who is it? Is it Rabbi Pinto? Is it our ancestors?
Most of the time, it's our ancestors. That our ancestors get up and they fight. They say, why are you judging my grandson for wrong? That's why we say schut avot. What does schut avot mean? The merit of our forefathers. We always speak about when you go to people that come from big tzaddikim, Abu Chatzira, other big families. Why do we go and receive from them brachot? It's not stam. It's not for no reason. It's the fact that if a person like that gets up and speaks and says, I want this, his ancestors up there have the merit to back it up. That they will get up and they will stand with their not grandchildren, descendants. That they will stand with their descendants and bring the will of the descendants to action. But the only people that have that power are people that have big merit, like big tzaddikim. No, but Rabbi Aharon,
the sword of the shofar?
Huh?
You said you were going to talk about the sword of the shofar?
It's very funny what the Zohar says about the shofar. There are two explanations. The next one we're going to do next week. And that is the true deep one. It's mamash, the deep one with Yitzchak and Yaakov and Esau. Ay, what a Zohar. Hashem Yerachim. Sweet. But it's beautiful. And the more simple explanation is brought actually also in the Zohar, but it says that what happens? When Samael goes up, and this is something that is mamash funny, when he goes up and he starts to testify and prosecute a specific person, at that very moment, what happens? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though he created the world in judgment and he wanted the world to stand in judgment, the reality of the world that can't stand in judgment, what did Hashem do? He created a medicine before the punishment even arrived. Where he gave Bnei Israel what? A mitzvah to do shofar on Rosh Hashanah. That actually the moment that the Yetzer Hara is prosecuting them, what happens in that very moment? Bnei Israel, first of all, start to do what? Starting to do a mitzvah. That the moment that they're being judged, he's already showing HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he's doing what? A complete teshuvah. But what's funny, the Zohar says, the sound of the shofar blocks the speaking of the Samael. The Samael starts to speak, and imagine I take a shofar now while somebody is whispering and talking, and I do a very loud shofar. What's going to happen? You're not going to hear the man that is talking. So actually, the shofar does what? Mebalbel et ha-sitra acha. Confuses the sitra acha. Why it confused the sitra acha? Because he's trying to talk, he's trying to mention all your sins and why you should be punished. And suddenly there's a loud noise that is completely blocking all the air. When the Zohar Kadosh says that when the sound of the shofar goes up to Shammai, it goes up in a complete form of fire. That fire goes up in Betin and it does balagan in Betin to confuse the Satan, to not allow you to get punished. And that's not the deep version of the secret of the shofar. Do you have any questions?
we see like there's people that like the people that are Rashaim and stuff, and after Yom Kippur, after Rosh Hashanah, they still like they're you see they're very successful, they're doing this, they're doing that. If it says that if somebody does bad, it's they're gonna be written in the book of death, and they're gonna so what happens to them?
You asked two questions now. Yes, and I'll answer to one short and one I'll do length because I think it's appropriate. Why do Rishaim sometimes get good? Because you know sometimes Rishaim, even the Rishaim, they do mitzvot. But to keep the merit of that mitzvah and give him to the world to come is worthless. Because it's so little that it's not going to help him with anything. So Hashem takes the merit of the mitzvot that he does and gives him as a gift when? While he's still alive. Sometimes you have people that they're bad people, that they have everything in the world. Why? Because Hashem is cleaning, saying, you know what, he has this merit, give it to him now and finish with him. Then when he comes up, we'll deal with him. Then you have the tzaddikim that are completely white, but they have one dot. One dot. So Hashem says, Cham, a shame, a white tzaddik with one black dot, let me clean that one black dot off. So he pinches the tzaddik a little bit and he cleans off that white. That is white reshaim. You see they're successful in that. Now, why is it that we're allowed, this is what I wanted someone to ask and nobody asked. Why is it that we say, it's not hypocrite to do teshuvah because you know judgment is coming? Then a day after teshuvah, you're going to go back to your wrongdoings? That's not hypocrite? According to Rambam, that's true. That's not teshuvah. But in the reality is, when we come to people, we tell them, do teshuvah now. Or most people, they stand in front of Rosh Hashanah, they echad, and they pray and ask him, and they're really doing teshuvah from their heart. How can you say that's not teshuvah? They're crying. It's coming from a deep place in their heart. We cannot say that's not teshuvah. So the Zohar actually asks this question in a different parasha, in Parasha Lech Lecha, if I'm not mistaken. The Zohar said that the answer actually to this question is an analogy. With this analogy, is like I always say, the Zohar is very rare when they bring analogies. Whenever there is an analogy, there's a lot to absorb from it. The Zohar is like a group of thieves that they go to the main street of the city where the king lives, and all the cargo and all the wealth the king is bringing out, what are they doing? They're going and they're stealing. They're sinning. They're going against the will of the king. So the king got up one day and he got upset. He said, enough is enough. I'm going to catch these thieves and wa'alik what I'm going to do. So he sent a group of police. They caught these thieves and they put them in a jail and they said, tomorrow we're going to judge you and tomorrow the king is most probably going to kill you. The group of thieves, they were smart. They said, we're not willing to die. We have to get out of here. So what did the thieves do the entire night? The entire night, they dug a hole and they were trying to dig an escape out of the prison. And the entire night, all of them were digging and one of them was sitting down. Not digging. The morning comes, they make a breakthrough, they have enough space to escape. One by one, they're all escaping. The one that is sitting down, they say, come out. The door is open. Leave. He says, no, I'm going to stay here. The king is expected to see me tomorrow. I'm going to wait for the king here tomorrow. So everyone said, you're Meshuga, you're suicidal. The king, when he sees you, is going to kill you. Or Hashem Yilachem, you'll sit in jail for the rest of your life. He said, I'm fine, don't worry. The king wants to see me, I will sit down with the king. The king comes in the afternoon. He sees the gate, the door wide open, and one of the thieves laying down on the open gate. The king looks and says, what are you doing? He said, everyone escaped, but me, I didn't escape. I'm here. So the king looks at him. What is he going to say? Zohar said that the king is going to look at him and say, you have no respect for me? You have no fear for me? That you know that I'm coming to judge you, to punish you, but still you didn't even have a thought of fear of my royalty, of my kingdomship? So Zohar says, that man, the king is going to torture and kill the hardest way. Because he showed him that he has no respect for him. That he has no fear, he has no respect, he has nothing. That actually when we come and we do teshuvah, before Rosh Hashanah, we actually show Hashem, look, we fall because we're people, because we're blood and flesh. But even though we fall, we have fear for you. We have respect for you. We want to do you well. We want to do you good. That even if you're going to go back to your wrongdoings, still you show Hashem that you are there and you have your kavod for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why even Rashaim, that they do teshuvah and it's a fake teshuvah, it's a real teshuvah, and we cannot say it's fake and they get accepted. But the truth is, we have to change the core. The truth is, the problem is the core. In the core, it's not that we're not doing enough mitzvot, and it's not that we're not learning enough Torah. The core is the fact that today, most Rabbanim push what? What do they push? The technicality. And today in the world, everything became technical. Wake up, do this. That's it. Just do it correctly, and then you go to the more to different groups of Jews. It's even worse. They start having arguments. It's beautiful, but arguments on the small technicality. But what happened to the core? And we spoke about this in the past. What happened to the core of loving HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That if you were able to treat the core, do that root canal, of you build a relationship of love for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you will do a teshuvah that will last forever, because that will cause you to never chas v'shalom repeat a sin and to make someone that you love sad. That was why, Rabbi, we need to focus on that and repair the core.